What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Jacked Ramsays. It's a very emotional, just full of joy intro here as it's 8:40 in the morning, because mostly I'm an idiot, and I screwed up the time yesterday. Sprague and I were going to do this, so now I'm up in the morning recording bright and early. Bushy-tailed, I'm Danny Marang, joined as always by Brandon Sprague. This is Jacked Ramsays, part of the Blue Wire Network. Simple things here real quick. If you haven't already, please like, rate, review, subscribe, do all of the things on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you may be. That's right, we are available everywhere you can get it. You can't get away from us. That's how this works.
We will haunt your dreams is basically how we feel.
If we're not already. I think that's kind of how it goes. It's just an effervescence kind of feel. Sprague, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Good morning, first of all. Nice to record this before we get NFL kickoff action. I know people are going to hear this much later, but
for sure.
It's nice to record on a Sunday morning. I like it up, or I'm a big, bright and early Sunday morning guy. I don't really care for sleeping in, so this kind of falls right in line with the schedule. This
is like the one day a week that I will shoot for it.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do it, this is where it happens.
Absolutely.
Obviously not today. I got up, I don't know, about an hour and a half ago. And we were still talking. I still have my morning voice, which I didn't think was really a thing, but apparently it is.
No, it's absolutely a real thing, because sometimes I'll have it on the radio show and then I'll meet somebody and they're like, you sound a little different. And I'm like, I mean, radio always makes you sound a little different.
Oh,
and then I'm talking at 6 a.m. Like, what do you think I'm going to sound like? It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. No way.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, baby.
Right.
I tell you what, we get some bright-eyed and bushy-tailed questions. But first, before we dive into those, it won't go away. It won't go away, man. Ben Simmons, it's a good thing he's an Aussie, because it's like a boomerang, man. Like,
oh my God, you find this worthy of discussion, and I find that interesting.
It won't go away.
Nothing burger. It's a nothing burger.
It is,
nothing burger.
But why does it keep getting pushed to the top?
Well, my guess, first of all, is they're generating a lot of clicks and interest with any story related to him, because the Philly fans are rabid, right? So they want to see what's
that's a word that I would use.
Yeah,
that's the kind word.
I thought it was almost borderline comical. I won't ever call anybody out on social. Well, that's not true. Sometimes I will.
I did.
Well, it's just like, why are you releasing a video that says breaking news? And it's basically like, they tried to trade him again and it didn't work. Yeah. Back to you. It's like, I mean, you just
the music in the background was like, oh, buddy. Oh, no.
And then the trade request, like, you want to say CJ and 2 firsts? I think Neil should like heavily consider that.
Yeah, no, that's the point of, like, you do it. But it should probably hurt a little bit more, which is why CJ and 3 firsts is probably, which is insane, because before all of this happened, before the playoffs, before everybody asked me, hey, if Ben Simmons theoretically became available, I said CJ and 3 firsts. It's funny that we're going to work our way to where that's the price point.
And I still don't think Neil would say yes to that. I think Neil would either bargain down to 1 or 2 firsts at the most, and that's just my opinion.
I don't disagree. I just think it has to hurt because of the level of player.
But he's not going to do it anyway.
No.
Like, Daryl could call tomorrow and be like, all right, 2 firsts and CJ for Ben. Do we got a deal? Neil will go, no. And then Daryl could go, I'll give you Ben, and you give me CJ and 1 first. And I still think Neil would tell him to F off.
Which is such, if it ever got out that that the offer was CJ and 2 firsts, or the ask was CJ and 2 firsts, and they said no, he should get flamed for that.
Well, but who's gonna flame him? Us? Like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. Look, nationally, he should.
I was told 2 weeks ago, and this isn't like groundbreaking news to anybody, but basically I was told he is the owner. Yeah. The difference is he just doesn't have the title, and Jody lives in Seattle. They don't give a crap what this dude is doing. He is running this organization in every way.
And he will, unless he does something quite negligent or criminal, until the team is sold.
And I would argue losing Damian Lillard because you got bouncing around 1 is negligible, and you should be fired.
I would too, but I still.
But I'm not even. I'm not certain that is enough. I think he could spin his way out of that. Well, guys, we got CJ now. It's like, okay, cool. Here we go.
So yeah, Ben Simmons keeps bubbling up in the background for just every stupid.
Where's he gonna get traded? Like, I don't think it's Portland, and I think the Blazer thing is dead. But it's like, look around the landscape. Where is he gonna end up? Because right now he's not going anywhere.
Indiana offers them the most pieces, but I think that's the weirdest fit. Like,
I think that's a stupid trade.
It's just like it makes sense for Philly.
Karis LeVert, yeah, sure, you get a good score, and Karis LeVert
and
will get your own bucket, and Brogdon.
Like you get your playmakers, and
and he's good when he's healthy.
Yeah. So like I think that's like a good fit for him, for Philly, but for Indiana, like I get Ben's a star, but oh god, I feel like that's just a disaster waiting to happen.
I do too. I feel like he would want to be. He'd be done in 2 years. He'd play and he'd be like, I want out of here.
He'd burn everything down.
Yeah.
Like I think, and maybe this is the hubris of just being out here. I think if he did come to Portland, I think they would figure it out, because I think Portland, at bare minimum, you're a 45-minute flight from LA. Like it's doable. Indiana, it's a little
way colder over there too.
Yeah, and like sure you got Chicago, but like do you guys want to go to Chicago?
See, that's the thing. I don't buy Chicago as a place either.
Yeah.
Like did you see Lonzo against the Pelicans?
Yeah, look pretty good.
Why would they want Ben Simmons?
Yeah, I don't. It's a. I don't know, man. I just don't see, like, it's stupid because I genuinely believe that Portland is the best candidate for them, as far as like where both teams get better, which means it's a 0% likelihood.
It's not.
It's like 5 years ago with Chris Middleton and CJ. Like that was a deal that like you looked at it on paper and everyone's like, this makes the most sense. You get a little more shot creation, ball handling at CJ going to Milwaukee. You get a little bit bigger, a little more defensive versatility. Chris Middleton going back to Portland. Win-win. I mean, the Bucks stood out and they ended up winning a title out of it. So
I'd say the Bucks ended up winning the non-trade, because I don't think they won a championship with CJ versus what they had with Middleton.
Yeah, because Middleton had some performances that were stinkers, but he had some absolute big buckets.
Yes, he did.
All right, that's the Ben Simmons discussion for now. I just kind of had to throw it in there because it keeps getting thrown to the top. Whoever the jerk is that keeps like pulling that paper out from the bottom of the pile and putting it back on top, go to hell. Stop. It's so frustrating. We did have, I think we had like 15, 16 questions, and I had to whittle a few down just to keep this down a little bit because we have so much. And I guess this is a good point to talk about news and notes. The Trailblazers preseason game on Tuesday has been moved to 2 p.m. due to the WNBA finals. Phoenix Mercury are playing later that night in Phoenix, so the Blazer game is a early matinee. It's early bird special, which tracks great for me because I'm entirely washed. We're still debating whether or not we're going to do a pregame show. Most likely not.
Right.
That's just kind of how this is going to go. Otherwise, we're doing that pregame at like noon. So, but postgame we will have you guys covered. We will have that Dame and CJ are not playing in this game. So if there's going to be a game that's going to get buried a little bit, it's this one. So, but please come join us for the postgame.
Should be noted, you mean Wednesday.
Well, I'm sorry, Wednesday. Thank you. I said Tuesday.
Sorry, you said Tuesday. Yeah. You threw me off. I'm like, they don't have a back-to-back.
No. It's Wednesday. I screwed that up.
Which, that's fine. We'll give you some post-game thoughts most likely because, again, to Danny's point, like how many people are going to be around at noon on a Wednesday. But we'll have post-game thoughts, and it's going to be a big game for the younger guys. I was incredibly delighted to read that news blurb that Dame
you love the Dame and CJ not playing. Woo.
Loved it. I loved it because play them tomorrow, play the Kings, and then you only have 2 more left. Like, who cares about those games?
You got the Mason Plumlee money gun out after you heard that news, huh? Just firing it out in the air.
I did. I absolutely did. And then, by the way, watch that game Wednesday, and then if you can, watch the WNBA Finals because, man, that final game between Vegas and Phoenix was effing believable.
I am a Aces supporter, so that one stung a little bit. But
yeah, my daughter has an A'ja Wilson jersey, so that one hurt.
Listen, man, when they revealed their alternates this year, was it this year or last? No, it was last year. God, all of
the red ones.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah. I think their black and gold ones are filthy.
No, that's what I mean. Like I hadn't really chose a team like to kind of follow, and I'm like, I got to find somebody regional. I'm like, Sue's on the way out in Seattle, like. She's not going to be around forever.
Right.
Diana's, 30.
She's aging.
She's on the way out. I'm like, let me go with a little bit younger team so I can stick with one. But Diana's still the GOAT, man.
Yeah.
Still getting it done. But yeah, we'll obviously following the Blazers Suns game, you'll have the Mercury in the WNBA Finals. So Let's get into these questions, man, because we have a ton. The first one's actually not really a question because he prefaces it this way. This is Ryan Robertson at RyanRob2121. Not a question, but I just want to remind you how many turnovers there were early in bubble games. Honestly, wouldn't worry about the turnover rate. Nurk looked out of position on offense a few times. The spacing was wonky. It was the first game. No worries needed. What is your thought on the turnover problem in Game 1 going forward in the preseason?
I'm more worried about that than I am Nurkic's fit. I think that is going to be something where Chauncey and company are asking him to do slightly different things. The turnover thing, like, I get it. It's similar to what they were in the bubble. That still is a problem.
It's not good.
You're not winning ball games when you're turning the basketball over.
Especially 26 times.
I hear it. I totally get the point of view, but I'm just going to slightly push back and disagree. You have to clean that up. And if you do not see that get cleaned up in a dramatic way in these last three, I think we're going to have a real problem or something to keep an eye on for the regular season. Because you do this during the regular season, you're most likely going to lose those ball games. I will always be more concerned with turnovers, whereas new scheme, new coach, new idea, philosophies.
Yeah.
I'll allow a player to adapt and allow them to evolve and figure that out.
And this is I think we're kind of on the same page here. Learning new scheme and learning where people are going to be, you can get some wonkiness. That's different from turnovers, from trying things or playing outside yourself.
Right.
So perfect example, which I hate to do this to the young man, but Nas was playing outside himself and was pressing. So he ends up with 5 turnovers, doing things he doesn't normally do, trying to take guys on. And that's part of what preseason is for. But you've got to show that you can play within yourself. And that's, for Nas, it's different from what it is for Jusuf Nurkic. For Jusuf Nurkic, he's in a contract year where he's trying to show that he can do all of the Jokic things, or diet Jokic, as our pal Eric Gunnarsson put it. That's a problem if he's sloppy with the ball. And one of his big problems with turnovers in Game 1 was not playmaking, but his post play. And one of the things that Chauncey has said is they want to get him the ball more in the post. But if he's getting the ball in the post and he's unaware, or he's sloppy on his catches, or not feeling double teams, or not feeling that pressure, and he's loose with the ball, come Game 12, come Game 15, we've talked about this. They will pull that usage back. They can talk spicy about how much they want to get him involved, but if they're getting loose to a certain extent, they're going to dial it back. They have to. I don't understand it in that regard. But I'm not worried about it, right? Like right now, did it look great? No, but you had 10 turnovers between Nurk and Nas alone, 16 from everybody else. You had some sloppy play from the regulars, but the back end of the bench guys, I don't care about their turnovers.
Right.
So I think there is a grain of salt there, but it's certainly something I'm raising my eyebrow about, right?
I mean, 26 should always get you to raise your eyebrows.
Yeah, you're like, we sure about that, guys? little bit better, right?
Right.
All right. We're going to touch back here on Ben Simmons again. This from B Wild at Brennan Dub. If Dame guaranteed Olshey he would stay in Portland, or excuse me, if Portland acquires Simmons, does that change your willingness to trade multiple first? It does for me, but I'm curious about others' thoughts. Damian Simmons likely doesn't equal good picks, and contending should increase cheap help via vet mins. I think this is something that's already tenable in the sense of Dame would endorse and fully back Ben Simmons.
He already liked a photo with him in a Blazer uniform. Yeah, we know how he feels.
Yeah. For everybody out there thinking he wouldn't, I don't think he wants to trade CJ, but he would be accepting of that because Ben Simmons solves basically every shortcoming that they have.
Absolutely.
Point of attack defender, 6'10", gets downhill. He has his warts. Under
contract for 4 more seasons.
You don't have to, because guys of his caliber don't become available.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Dame guarantees, but I think if you swung this kind of move, this is as close you get to a guarantee as possible, right?
And I think a lot of people have highlighted the fact that CJ has not been traded, right, this entire time. And so it's like, oh, well, it's Neil's guy. It's, well, how much does Dame not want to trade him? I think there's a little something to the Dame not wanting to lose CJ.
Sure,
but
it's his guy.
But what I've always felt is if Neil was to walk up to Dame tomorrow and say, Dame, Daryl is desperate Philly wants to get this done because they don't want to go into the year with this. They're offering Ben, and we give them CJ and let's just for argument's sake a first.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt it gets that low, but let's say they get desperate. I don't think Dame is the kind of person to say no. I think he goes, you think you help us win?
Yeah.
And then Neil, if he wants to pull that, he says yes. And I think at that point, Dame just steps out of the way.
Dame hits him with the, you have my blessing.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, we'll get CJ out of here. He's never going to be that guy.
No.
He's admittedly said he's not that guy. It's more Neil comes with him with a deal, and that's clearly something that could make them better, at least raise their ceiling. I think Dame just kind of nods and goes and does his workout and allows Neil and the organization to take a brunt of most of the questions.
Yeah, which, and Dame, for anybody who's wondered, it's not just CJ. It's anybody. Dame has said, I would make a horrible GM because if I was still GM, Sasha Pavlovich would still be on this team, who was here day one.
I think it's important, too, to note, like, CJ just bought a bunch of land. CJ is very heavily embedded into the community.
CJ's going to be back out here when he's all said and done.
CJ will be living out here. Yeah. He'll get a standing ovation. He's probably going to get his jersey retired at some point. Like, there's a way that Dame, I don't worry about their friendship. Like, that's part of the narrative, too. Is if
and you're not sending him to Siberia. You're literally sending CJ probably into title contention.
I mean, he gets to go play with Joel Embiid. That's, every guard that, I would think CJ would view that opportunity as just as big a moment for him as it would be for Ben to come to play.
It'd probably be a bigger moment because it's putting CJ more in the limelight than it is Ben.
Yeah, it'd give him his first All-Star appearance if he were to stay healthy. Yeah. I think
he definitely be on the cusp of that. So
yeah.
But overall, I don't think it's. I think it's more beneficial for Dame long term if they did make a move for Ben, because not only would you have Ben under contract and you're getting more talent. If things didn't work, you can trade Ben for more than you can trade CJ for. I mean, realistically, that's why you're giving up CJ and firsts for Ben.
Right.
So, I think that's, as far as you're like moving your assets, it would behoove Portland. Here we go. AJ Allen at AJ Allen PDX. I grew up Sonics fan as a kid. Went to last home game ever. Moved to Oregon for college 8 years ago and never left. I've rooted for the Blazers, but never been super invested in the team to the OK series. What should get me excited about this team?
First of all, I can really relate to that. You can go check the social medias from 5, 6, 7 years ago. Very similar. I grew up. I loved Gary Payton. I loved watching him throw lobs.
You had the Sonics Avi for a long time.
I still do.
Do you still have it up? Oh yeah.
Gary Payton is that's my guy, man. Like I love that he didn't give an S and he talked shit to Michael Jordan's face. Like I love that. But also didn't hate the Blazers. I loved the I-5 rivalry. I thought that was fun. What should get you excited for this year's team? That's a great question. And this is going to be a very subjective answer, I think, from many different people.
Yeah.
I think mine is kind of just, mine's more like S or get off the pot.
Mm-hmm.
You brought in a new coaching staff. You're running a new system, but you continue to tell us or sell us that this group is going to get it done. And now we're on the brink of potentially losing a Damian Lillard to a trade request. All right. This feels like the year. This feels like the year that you have to push really close to winning a second round, if not getting out of the second round, to keep Dame happy. You lose in the first round, and it's going to be hard not to see this thing kind of get blown up in a certain regard. So to me, is I hope this doesn't sound negative, but to me, it's almost the chaos looming or the payoff to years and years of waiting to see this group be more than what they largely have been. And that's nothing but a first-round exit.
So you dropped the sitting on the toilet and pushing as hard as you can, and that imagery was just that was there, buddy. Well done.
We're doing it in the morning, so I figured it was morning dump.
Yeah, true professional. It's a morning constitutional. So what are you excited about this team? Taking a big old poop. I'm kind of in the similar vein. I think it's, for me, the excitement is in the general basketball for sure, but having covered this team for so long now, I'm at the point of something is going to happen. That's what should excite you. And it's either going to be the end of an era or the continued push of an era. Either they succeed beyond their expectations and they build upon it one more time, or they fall short of expectations and they're finally going to tear it down because financially they have to. They don't have anybody locked up. They've got so much money tied up in between Dame, CJ, and Norm now. I think it's like 110, 112 million going into next year that they can't do anything. So you have to make something happen, because if you don't, you're stuck here, and you will be in true basketball purgatory because you won't have the assets or anything else to make things happen. And I think that's exciting, because this is a no doubt fork in the road. And I think that's kind of where I've ended up so far, in that this is going to, I think I've said this the last 2 or 3 years, like, no, this is going to be the year. In reality, I think because of how everything is lined up, unless they make a trade, between now and the deadline, I think this is kind of what it is. And unless they truly succeed, they're going to have to make a significant change.
It's a Game of Thrones episode to me. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know if I'm going to be happy about
punched out of nowhere. Oh my God, They took away my favorite player.
Right. It could be a Mountain Viper episode where a guy I like gets just absolutely his skull crushed in. I don't know. Or it could end up being a happy ending. Who knows? I don't know where it's going.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's interesting.
But I find that itself, that's entertaining.
Yes, that's exciting, because you don't know. Like in the past, I think you can kind of project what this team is, but I do think that because of the volatility in the roster, because you've got guys in contract years, because the new coaching staff came in and promised so much to so many people, what was be considered volatile before, it pales in comparison to what would be volatile this year. So it's the whole idea of something has to give. And I think it's from top to bottom for the first time. So I think that's what's exciting, is like something's going to happen. This from Joel, just Joel, Mr. Iolius. What numbers would show that Nurk had a great season?
Ooh, a great season?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say 18 and 11, 18 and 12.
Wow. I was literally going to say 18, 12, 4, and 2.
This pod mailbag's turning into us just agreeing on every
I know.
answer that we have.
Well, Dame had a quote 2-3 years ago. He said, like, Nurk at his peak is an 18 and 12 guy. Like, there's only like 3-4 of those guys in the league who can do it.
It's an amazing stat line.
It's a monster. Like 20 and 10 is a hell of a stat line. Nurk probably comes down a little bit in the scoring department, but goes up in the playmaking department across most bigs. Like I said, he's not Jokic, but he's a pretty damn good playmaker. So if he was like 18, 12, 4, and 2, that's when you're just like, that's your great season. That's your holy crap, this guy is a monster.
Dan, if he's going to be 18 and 12 and 2, I would imagine that they are sitting either where I think they can if they hit their limit, or they're the third seed and they have like a really surprise season.
Yeah, I mean, he has always been the swing player for them, because Dame's going to give you 28, 7, and 5. CJ's going to give you 24 and 4. Norm and the other, like you've got some solid role players behind him, but Nurk has always been the swing guy. But that usage, he has to be efficient with it.
Yeah.
And that's where I question it.
Yep.
I love the big fella, but I just, he's never ticked that box. And I have a hard time believing a coaching change is what makes him more efficient. So again, things to be excited about. There's another one. What does that look like for Nurk?
Is he boom or busting? Yeah.
Yeah. This from Rick S. at Rick Sparber. What's the health status on Snell? He was supposed to be gearing up for practice this week. I don't think he's participated yet, though. So still waiting on that. I would imagine if they went yesterday, I didn't see any reports on him then. So they typically, well, I can't say typically anymore because Stotts is the head coach. But the rule had always been you had to get a full practice in before you played in the game. So
I wouldn't be shocked if Chauncey changes the stance on that belief.
Yeah.
Because he, again, was a
veteran.
veteran
player, and he says if you say you're ready and the doctors say you're ready, you can give it a go. So we might see him. We might see him out there on Monday. I doubt it. I would imagine
I would look
Wednesday.
for more Wednesday. Yeah. Wednesday or even Friday.
Yeah, I would imagine. Well, they're gonna want to get him out there because I don't think they know yet who that ninth man is, whether it's Snell or whether it's Nas.
Well, that's why Monday is a huge day for Nas.
Yeah, he's got to rebound in that respect and show that it was just the jitters. He had a statement the other day. I think it was Quick had a line from him and basically said, "Yeah, I was pressing, I was playing, I was nervous, I was a little on the edge." So, yeah, it's hopefully we get some good news on Snell. Hopefully we get some good news on Norm and. Let's see. Zeller had successful surgery. I love successful surgeries. Successful surgeries are the best ones.
Do they ever email you when it's not successful?
No, because we definitely didn't get the email on Zach Collins' unsuccessful surgery. Or, I wasn't covering the team at the time. I imagine we didn't get any emails or direct press releases from the Blazers on Greg Oden's unsuccessful microfracture surgery. No, nothing.
No.
Okay.
Hashtag too soon. Hashtag too soon.
This from Jeff Kramer at Hoop Storyteller. Shout out Jeff Kramer. We ran into each other at a local Panera out in Sherwood the other day.
There you go.
He saw me gimping around, leaving the house for the first time really in months. And so shout out to him for that. Do you expect the Blazers to try to push the ball more on the fast break this season? Are you buying it yet?
No. I want to say yes. I want to be there with people that are going there, and I hope I'm wrong when I say this, but no, I don't buy it. We get sold this every year. Every team.
We're gonna play faster, play with more pace.
Push the tempo. I think Malone just said this about the Nugs a week or two ago.
Yeah.
That we're gonna push the pace. It's like, no, you're not. You have Jokic. He's not out there trying to gallop with all of these smaller horses. He's a beast. So. No, I do not buy it. I don't think Dame wants to operate that way. I think they'll have their spurts, but largely I think it'll be about the same.
I am buying this if I can buy the points. So hear me out.
Okay.
I am buying this if by the Blazers you mean the second unit.
That's not fair. No, I'm not giving that to you.
That's me buying the points there. That's what that is.
I would tell you that Norm and Ant or Ant and CJ or whatever ends up being consistent with the second unit, I would tell you that's going to be a little faster. But with the starting lineup involved, no,
they're not. I do believe that there's two people that are going to be important in pushing the pace, and one of them you'll expect is Ant. The second one I think most people probably don't expect. Larry Nance Jr.
I could see that.
He wants to grab. Who is the only guy on this team who can grab and go? Legitimately. It's Larry Nance Jr.
You're not going to give our boy Rocco any love?
Listen, I don't want Cove taking the ball 90 feet. It's just...
How dare you compare him to Al Farouk?
No, I was just going to say, he's not a Minu. But I never wanted Farouk to put the ball down. Like, that was a terrifying exercise. Larry, not only do I want him to do it, I'm confident in him doing it.
Danny, when you say like they're better served for Ant to go out there and do what a 22-year-old or what is it, 21,
athletic
22
22-year-old, yeah.
Like, wouldn't you say like that's kind of a sneaky good part of a new strategy is you play the traditional Dame CJ way, and then you bring in a young guy who's foaming at the mouth to be really good and to get a really good deal, bring him in and let him just go use that athleticism.
Pace monster.
Yes. It almost could feel, and this dude did it twice with two different teams. It could feel a lot like what Leandro Barbosa did for Phoenix back in the day and Golden State. Is come in and just go, and you're like, oh crap, this is a different unit.
Put you on your heels. You're just like, okay, I'm used to playing in the half court against Dame and CJ. That's tough. Now this 22-year-old dude is going to put me on my heels with just pick and rolls, getting out early offense. And I think, again, Larry Nance Jr. is a big part of that because he can grab and go. Ant pushes the pace. I think you'll see if Nas does get those minutes, that's another young guy who wants to get out and transition. Snell, McLemore, I think they're kind of ambivalent in that regard. I don't think they're going to play fast, but I don't think they're like playing a plodding pace. And Zeller is not Enes Kanter. Like Zeller can move. So you can get into your sets a little bit more.
You're not going to miss the Enes Kanter run up the court.
I love it. Listen, I love Enes. It was just, no. He's just,
no. No.
How long it took that unit to get into stuff was just painful. It wasn't like the Blazers could run if they wanted to. If Ant ran with that unit, he'd be ahead of everybody else, and he'd be playing 1-on-3, 1-on-4, 1-on-5, because those guys that's not how they operate. So I do believe they will try to push the pace more. I don't know how much it'll necessarily be on the fast break, but getting into stuff early, getting into more early offense, getting into more quick sets where they get downhill, I would look for Ant to push that, but I would look even more for Larry Nance Jr. to kind of be he's the guy hitting the go, 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 go. Like,
right.
One thing that stood out from that game, and everybody said, "Oh, Larry Nance didn't really do anything in the box score." No, there's two things that he did on both ends of the floor. It was talk and push, and that was on both ends. It was, hey, defensively, no, you need to go here, and he would, hey, no, go. Offensively, hey, let's go, let's get into this, let's push it, and you could see where his brain just works faster than everybody else's, and I think that's going to push things on both ends for the Blazers. And I think it's going to end up being a good thing. So. I guess there's a slight disagreement there, right?
No, there's a disagreement. I mean, I think we're kind of arriving at the same spot that largely the pace won't look different when you just average it out.
No, but team-wide, but the differentiation between both units.
Well, and Larry's got a good chance, too. I mean, you could already make an argument that he is, but he's got a great chance to be one of those stable veteran leaders that this team kind of needs of, guys, I went to a finals. I was young. I wasn't ready. And then as soon as that happens, I lose it. And now I'm playing at the bottom of the basement in the NBA, and I hated it. And like there's a lot to be taken away from, I think, for a guy like Nance to have won early and then to have eventually just finished near the bottom of the NBA for a couple years.
Been
to
at
now
both
come
sides
back,
of that mountain.
Yeah, to now come back to a situation where it's like, hey, I do know what it takes to win. I've been a winner before. Now I'm on a winning team. Let me step in and implement my leadership. Let me try to help push the pace, maybe get some easy lob dunks, some putback dunks, things of that nature.
Let me show you the way.
Yes.
Which, listen, I'm here for. You know what else I'm here for? More questions. I have a ton of Ben Simmons questions, but we're going to pocket those because, well, it's too much Ben Simmons stuff, guys.
Is it about fit or is it just about getting him?
Just about getting him around costs.
Yeah.
Do you think the teams find a middle ground? What's the most you would pay?
I don't think they're trading.
I don't think that ultimately it ends up being in Portland.
They need look. I want nothing more than to be wrong about opinions that people want to be right. But there is no indication that they're remotely interested in this deal in any way.
No,
like
particularly
Daryl called Neal
that insane price point.
Like if anything, if you wanted to be encouraged about Portland's ability to get him, you would hear that Neal called Daryl and said, "Hey, CJ and this," and then maybe you hear about what Daryl's counter to that is. The fact that you're hearing Daryl call teams saying, "Hey, give me your second best player and I'll give you our second best player," and then you throw in 3 firsts and 3 swaps, like to me that's a red flag that there's no interest here in Portland. Yeah. They don't want to make that trade and they're not going to make that trade.
It's an interesting negotiating position that both teams are in. And ultimately what that price ends up being for Ben Simmons is going to be weird.
It's going to be much lower than what that reported asking price was. I'll tell you that much.
Than the Harden one? Yeah, certainly. But what it ultimately ends up looking like, that's going to be interesting. I'm going to laugh unendingly if it ends up being something around John Wall. I'm going to die in that regard. Like it's going to be insane if that ends up happening.
I wouldn't understand why Philly would want to do that. I kind of get the interest from Houston of just we're not really anything. Like let Ben come down here and cook.
Yeah, we got Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green and Sengun. Right. Like this could be fun. Throw Ben Simmons into that pile.
Yeah, let's see. They still have Christian Wood, right?
Yeah, I would imagine.
He would be in that deal?
It'd be Wood and Wall.
Okay.
I think that would
Would that money work, or would Philly have to throw somebody in?
They'd probably have to throw somebody else in, which,
okay.
I mean.
But still, if you're Ben, you would do that and be like, screw it, let's go. Me and some young dudes and let them do their thing offensively.
I think they would put him at the top of the pecking order.
Sure.
I think. I'm not entirely certain of how highly they value Jalen Green. Like, do they see him as a number one? But I think it'd be interesting. This is also an interesting question. This from Smokey Joe at Castile _Sean. for the mailbag, if or when the Trailblazers get a G League team, and what do they get with a G League team?
I've given up that they're going to have a G League team.
Well, I don't think you should give up because the league's going to force them.
Well, when the league forces them, then great. But they're not willing to go do that on their own. What do they get? I mean, I think it's nice to have a direct system instead of picking and choosing where you're sending guys.
Yeah, whether it's to Texas or Reno or Chicago, or the Maine Red Claws or Chicago.
It's so weird that they do that in this league where they're like, hey, go play in somebody else's farm system. It's like you don't see that in baseball. Just having a direct pipeline. I still wish that Vancouver was the destination for our G League, Vancouver, Washington.
But why?
Well, why not?
Because that's a ways away.
Vancouver, Washington?
Yeah, give me like Beaverton or Tualatin.
I mean, look, if we can house them in Tualatin or Beaverton, I'm all for that too. Whatever's the closest for me to be able to go drive and watch G League basketball.
Like if they parked them at George Fox at Newburgh, I'd be like, hell yes, like sign me up.
Also, be careful, Newburgh. You're getting a whole thing of NBA guys taking over your town, man. They're gonna just be careful. That's an interesting setup in itself. But
yeah, welcome to my hell.
It would be nice to have it somewhat located. I know Idaho, like
Salem even. Salem's not that far.
There's a new facility just got built too. Actually, it's a friend of mine. He built the facility. It's like it's almost like the Hoop, but
nice.
There's a place to go. There's plenty of options to go play.
Yeah, this whole idea of like you need to set it up in like this massive arena, and it's like no, like there's multiple G League teams that play in like teams' practice facilities with stands set up. Like it's just.
And fans barely go to any of these games, like any of them.
It's if you're making money off of it, it's because of streaming and endorsements. But you're using it as a development pipeline, but not just for your players, but for coaches,
right?
Things that you want to try. Like, hey, what if we went about things like this? You know, I understand to an extent Neil's hesitancy of like, well, we do better developing in-house. Like, yes, your development is better than anybody else's. You know better. And that part of it pisses me off because it's just like there's 28 other teams because there's one other team right now without a team. It's either Phoenix or Denver. I can't remember where they flopped. But you're so smart that you don't need it. That part of it irks me. But I get what they're saying about having them around the NBA guys, but you can do both. Like that's
you're talking about organizations, Danny, that are far more successful than you, that have them and benefit from using them, enjoy having them, and Neil's out here like, we don't need it.
Yeah, we do things better, and it's like, God, I hate that hubris. It drives me insane. You look at how good teams have been, not just with the G League, but drafting in the second round and player development and taking these chances. Having that G League affiliate allows you to take more chances. Like, I'm glad that they finally took another two-way. But what if you had your own G League affiliate? Would Moses Brown still be in Portland?
I mean, you'd probably want him still in Portland, first of all. Second of all, imagine sending Greg Brown to go play at the Salem Statesmen or the Salem Capitals.
Oh, wow.
Team.
Did you just name the team Salem Statesmen? I like that.
Either Salem Capitals or the Salem Statesmen. Like, I think you go with that. If you're I
don't think you can go with Capitals because it's just
why
it's too much. Washington Capitals, right?
I'll screw them.
A little hockey action. No. Okay.
Well, we want to call our baseball team the Mavericks. I think that's an homage. Yeah. It's an homage, but it's like there's some Dallas.
You go homage or homage?
I kind of just did both there, and I always feel very insecure when I say the word. So I kind of do both. I play both hands.
just throw both out there. That way you're just not worried about it.
Yeah, it really is one of those situations.
Are you worried about sounding like a douchebag when you say homage?
No, I worry about just being wrong because I'm wrong a lot. You know what I mean? It's like I just said, what's the American soccer that plays in the Premier? Christian Pulisic? What's his name?
Yeah, no, Christian. Well, it's true. You get Pulisic, or what's the other one? Pulisic. So yeah, it's
okay. Pick your poison, I guess.
It's funny. Like even the official media guide, I've heard Premier League announcers get it wrong. So
if I'm bad at one thing more than anything else that I'm awful at,
pronunciations.
It's names. And pronunciations of names. I am so bad. Especially
we're going to get a segment of just a bunch of names to have you to say and just
like Polynesian players. I'm done. I still can't say the DJ kid's name at Clemson. Ugalelelele. Like I don't say it right. I can't do it. There's like a mental block where I
just
disrespect
short
the
circuit.
name. Yes. I just call him DJ, the Clemson quarterback.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, we had the spelling competition once at NBC.
Yeah.
And they had Oosthuizen and Antetokounmpo, and I got them both. And the look on Joe and Shane's face was just like, oh, you a-hole. Like, you would know how to spell both of those and how to say them both. And I was like, it's me, I'm the a-hole. But yeah, I think it's a perfect place to wrap up. A nice little tidy 40 minutes here, and we finish on me being an a-hole.
Dude, Danny, if there's anything to tease, though, coming up, and I know you're going to get into all that, by the way, rate, review, subscribe. I'm pretty excited. I think this week's pods, I know they're not playing Dame and CJ for the Kings game, and I get the interest. This is kind of the buildup, man, because if you look at the schedule, it's the 10th as we record this. Mm-hmm. Most people are going to hear this on the 11th when the game's going to happen. Like, the time is ticking, and we're only 10 days away from tip.
We're a week away from actual basketball. Like when you're hearing this, whoop,
yes.
More importantly,
there it is.
We're
whoop.
Yeah. I hate you so much.
Sometimes I can't help but do the dad joke thing.
No, listen, it's totally acceptable. At least you didn't throw in the new song. So, Scoop, there it is. No, nothing.
Oh my God, I hate that commercial.
You would hate that commercial. It's pure joy.
I hate that commercial.
You're a monster.
I am a monster.
Like Brandon said, we do have a ton coming up. Wednesday, obviously the goofy scheduled game, 2 p.m., but we will have you for the post game there. We will have you through all of preseason and then into the regular season. Because it is a Wednesday game, we will move the live show again to Thursday, so that one will be consistently inconsistent all season long. We'll try to keep it on Wednesday or Thursday. That is kind of the plan there. So if you've got questions following the next 2 games, which can I just real quick irritated about the fact that they had a week off and then 3 games in a week?
That's a weird way to run a preseason,
right.
But yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious to see if the players care about that at all. But yeah, I thought that was really strange too.
Like not even one game, like a game, Saturday, like that. What? Just break it up a little bit more. It's kind of goofy. I don't know. But like Brandon said, rate, review, subscribe. We're both very terrible about working that in. We only put it in the beginning and the end because that's when we remember. We're true professionals. If you haven't already on YouTube, it's free. Click subscribe. That's it. Go to YouTube or go to your favorite podcast feed. Click subscribe. It's free. All of it's free. And we thank you all so very much.
Yes, we do.
Help us out by clicking some buttons. And then if you're feeling really, really, really spicy, go to iTunes, leave us a review. You can love us, you can hate us. Just let us know that you're listening and what you like or what you don't. It's that simple. Right?
And then stick along for the ride because this season at any given point, Danny could turn into the Nate from Ted Lasso and we could end up having some controversy here. You never know what you're going to get with this podcast.
We will once the games start, we will 100% have more controversy than we have right now. You and I have just talked about this team for so long. We are both in the same general corner of like, let me see what's going to happen with this.
That's basically where we're at is can we watch the games that matter and then we can maybe disagree on a lot of things?
Because we will. I already know a couple of things that we're going to disagree on. But again, if you haven't already, please like, rate, review, subscribe. Do all of the things. You can find us on social media, on Twitter, at Danny Marang, at Brandon Sprague. You can email the show, jackedramsays@gmail.com. If you didn't hear your questions today, don't worry. They will get worked in. I'm trying to group them all together with certain things. And we will probably revisit them, some of them in the pre- and post-game show because they will kind of tie in a little bit more there. So until next time, everybody, thank you all so very much. This is for Brandon. I'm Danny. We'll catch you next time. Bye.